you so much, sir. I think this is my second time I got the opportunity to shoot with one of the IATS officers.
Right.
At first, I want to know, like, what are the things you are looking after right now in the department?
See, I am the Chief Public Relations Officer of this zone. This is the Southwestern Railway Zone. And our jurisdiction covers large part of Karnataka, large part of Goa, with some small portions of Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh. So, as a Chief Spokesperson, my primary duty is media management. And in a way, I am what you could say in the modern parlance, the person in charge for management of brand railways in this part of the country. So it's a very critical role. Apart from media management, I am the nodal officer for coordination of all the ceremonial functions whenever any VIP or VVIP visits. And since recently, we have also made our presence felt in the social media space.
Okay.
So broadly, this is my responsibility. I am responsible for communicating various railway-related information, initiatives, and policies to the public.
First, there are so many foods in front of me. I am too foodie, so I want to get into it. Just if you can explain.
Okay. See, Hubli is located in North Karnataka. And this is a typical North Karnataka cuisine.
Okay.
And this is what you get in the eateries called Khanavali. So Khanavali.
Okay.
Okay. So this is jowar roti, and we have junka. This is made of besan flour.
Okay.
These are sprouts, and I think this is slightly spicier version of what you might have been accustomed to till now. Pickle, I think you can identify. This is chutney powder made from groundnut.
Okay.
And this is a brinjal sabji.
Okay.
And this is a salad with mooli leaves and mooli slices and cucumber. And here we have something that is very special and unique. This is a dessert called kardant.
Okay.
So it's a mixture of dry fruits with edible gum, which is fried in ghee.
Okay.
So this is very famous in Belgavi and Gokak. Gokak is known for its Gokak Falls and one of the first spinning mills in Asia.
What is this? I missed this thing, sir.
Oh, this I think is equivalent of rasam or sambar.
Okay. 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 So yeah, we'll have the food and talk, sir.
Yes.
I hope that's not a problem for you.
I think that's a pleasure.
Okay. Sometimes people tell me why every time I start having food with the officers. But I try to actually escape the time management so that I don't take extra time from you all.
It makes also sense, I think, because this is the time we get throughout the day where we are somewhat slightly relaxed. There are days where we forego our lunch or dinner, or we might not be able to have it in time due to some busy commitments or something.
So, sir, I want to get back to your current role. As you said that you are basically, in common terms, we can say for the celebrities, as we say in layman language, is the PR manager. So, you're the branding and PR head of the railway department on East Zone.
So to say, you could say that.
For the layman people, if somebody couldn't understand what you are holding right now, what you are looking currently on these changes and the analytics of social media and how you are coping to manage railway department with the current youth statistics.
We are Indian Railways, so we run trains. And we run trains as per the demand of the people, as per the demand of the public. And on day-to-day basis, there are changes that we make in the train services to fulfill the demands of the public for public welfare. Maybe we are providing a stoppage or we are running a special train. We have augmented thousands of special coaches in the last 1 year during festivals and holiday seasons. So all this information is very important that it gets communicated to the public in real time.
Okay.
And as a PR manager of railways, as you are aware, we have conventional media on one side, that is the print and electronic media. Apart from that, if I may say, in the last 9 to 10 years, social media has picked up in a big way in our country. So we have strategized to leverage the power of social media to give information to the public in real time.
Okay.
And you would be delighted to know that in the last 1.5 years, we have grown our Twitter followership from about 35,000 odd to more than 115,000 on date.
Big achievement.
Yeah, thank you.
Kudos to the whole
thanks
team.
to my team. Yeah. So we have prioritized sharing real-time information as well as responding to various public grievances. And I think that has helped us establish ourselves, our Twitter handle or social media handles, as an authentic source of information in the digital space. And social media, apart from normal days when we give out information and when we share details on train services, changes and all that, apart from that, I think during crisis communication it plays a very important role.
Okay.
Whenever any unusual incident or an accident happens, what we have noticed is fake narratives and fake news, incomplete information that tends to gain virality very fast. But then since we have established our credentials in the digital media space, we have used our handle as a means of providing SOS communication. कहीं कुछ
Can you just define SOS because some people might not understand?
Any emergency situation, save our souls. So if there is an accident or any mishap that happened, then we have a system similar to the police force.
Okay.
So at each divisional headquarters and at each zonal headquarters, we have a control room that immediately becomes the disaster management room also. Our senior officers reach there, our rescue team reaches the spot, and we open helpline numbers. So all this information we get to communicate through social media to the public in real time. And we have not just kept the urban crowd in mind, we have also made it a point and made active efforts to give information in regional languages, in Kannada for example.
Okay.
So that our information is also accessible as well as intelligible to those who are not living only in the cities.
In the cities, right. How you are looking into it, sir? Like recently I have seen there are many honorable ministers and cabinet ministers, they are also doing podcasts with YouTubers. So there was time, only a national media was the face that has to be focused, kept in mind. If we talk about bureaucracy, if we talk about the government sectors. But right now, I have seen many influencers, YouTubers are also doing collaboration, even in the railway department, tourism departments, can be in Instagram, YouTubers and all.
Right.
What's the potential you see on this sector of the youths that can help in a way in the future?
Okay, I think the way I look at it, in the 21st century, media has got democratized.
Okay.
See, we have had widespread penetration of 4G and 5G in our country. And we have a huge demographic dividend. That means we have a huge number of youth who are budding, talented and with a smartphone. So virtually everyone is a journalist. Everyone is a journalist, at least on social media these days. For us as bureaucrats or government, I would say that's a boon. Because see, it helps us spread our initiatives, programs far and wide, and leverage the potential of these people, social media influencers as well as the tech savvy youth, to popularize various schemes which are brought by the government.
Okay.
Let me just share an example with you. Recently in June we launched the Vande Bharat between Dharwad and Bangalore.
Okay.
And we reached out to a large number of social media influencers apart from the traditional media persons. So we had one coach full of social media influencers, YouTubers, Instagrammers, all below the age of 25. And they had their own channels with huge fan following. Many of them are avid rail fans. They undertake journeys spanning more than 30 hours, 40 hours. Or if there is a new locomotive getting commissioned, they want to come and click selfies with it. These kind of die-hard rail fans. So they helped us make short videos, reels about the new features of Vande Bharat. And not only in English but also in Kannada. So I would say, apart from national media, this kind of democratized local media helps us reach a wide variety of audience. It helps us break, I would say, silos of readership. You have silos of readership or viewership. Those are loyal to one particular media or one particular form of communication. But then when we come to social media space, with a common hashtag, all these channels start trending. And it's a win-win situation for both. It helps us spread our initiatives. It helps us popularize Vande Bharat among a large section of population in a short span of time with almost zero investment. And I think the social media influencers stand to gain by associating themselves with the brand of Indian Railways. I think Indian Railways as a brand is very close to the heart of every person.
That's totally
in one way or other, a train has been associated with the life of a person at one point of time or another. So that identity, that nostalgia, that charm, some memory, they are able to tap into that. And we have had rail fans who came all the way from Shalimar or Howrah or Mumbai all the way to Hubli when their favorite loco was getting repainted, getting recommissioned and all that. So we are able to reach out to this section of the people who are perhaps more video content savvy.
okay.
There have been studies which says that the future of consumption of news or content in the country is going to be by video. No wonder we have so many OTT platforms now. And now and then we hear about reports that the readership of newspapers are going down. और मेरा बच्चा ये पढ़ता नहीं सभी हमेशा मोबाइल देखता रहता है and all that kind of a thing.
So now I want to connect another question, like connecting to the aspirants that as we were talking just before starting the video, that as I know that IAS and IPS there is mostly cadre based. While talking to your sectors, you are like zone based. So can you please describe this?
We have 17 railway zones in the country.
Okay.
And each zones have a number of divisions. For example, in my zone, this is called a Southwestern Railway. That is the name of the zone. There are 3 divisions, namely Hubli, Bangalore and Mysore. And we are headquartered in Hubli.
Okay.
So usually we are allotted to a particular zone after we complete our training. We are, you could say this is like the new home for us or a new native place. Just like the IAS, IPS, IFS have the system of cadre, which is state based, we have a system of zone. And during the first 14 to 16 years, we tend to serve here. Apart from that, there are opportunities for deputation. There is central staffing scheme, or there may be opportunities for going to a state government and serving there. But for all practical purposes, for the purpose of accountal of our salary, you could call this is our native place or native zone. And once you attain a certain level of seniority, there are systems of transfers which is decided by the ministry. This is with 2 things, I mean keeping in mind 2 things. One is that the expertise which is there in a particular officer, it should be shared to other parts of the country, other zones as well. And even the officers should get an opportunity to serve in other parts of the country. I think it's a very well defined policy which promotes national integration, and apart from that gives us also the opportunity to go to different places and try out different cuisines as you are doing right now.
Thank you so much for this first of all, because for the first time I'm going to try this.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I am hopeful that you will like it.
I'm definitely liking it, but I don't think I'm making late.
No, not at all, not at all. I am enjoying this conversation as much as you are enjoying it.
Let's get back to you. Like, how all started your journey from where you come from?
I belong to a place called Sirsi, which is about 120 kilometers away from this place. I was born into a family of freedom fighters.
Okay.
Yeah, my grandfather was a freedom fighter. He was also part of Pradesh Congress Committee pre-1947 for some time. And his elder sister, she was a child widow, who joined Gandhiji's Satyagraha movement before the age of 15. and she lived up to the grand old age of 101 years. She was known by the name of Mahadevi Tai, and she served with Shri Vinoba Bhave for a long period of time at Wardha Sevashram. So she was part of numerous satyagrahas, she was part of Bhudan movement, and she was part of other activities in the freedom struggle, and she also was imprisoned in Yerwada jail in Maharashtra for quite some time. So all this made an impression in my mind. And my father's younger cousin, he was a KAS officer, Karnataka Administrative Service Officer. So in my childhood, I got an opportunity to meet him once or twice.
Okay.
So, I think somewhere subconsciously this impacted me, the way these people were able to not only live their life, but wherein their livelihood itself became an act of service. So I felt that I should not restrict myself to a sector where I only earn bread and butter for myself.
True.
But I want to be useful, and at the end of the day when I shut my eyes, I want to feel purposeful that I have done something meaningful. So I feel that public service or civil services is one such forum which not only gives us our livelihood, it also gives us an opportunity to serve people without doing anything extra. Just doing our duty sincerely is service to the society.
True that.
Plus at the end of the day, it also gives you an identity and recognition.
Yeah.
So in public administration, there is something called Maslow's need of hierarchy, where our most basic human needs are at the bottom of the pyramid, and this self-actualization, recognition, realizing your purpose in life and all this is the top of the pyramid. So I think when you look at that, I feel that this is an ideal career option for somebody who is service oriented, that you get everything that you can aspire for. So I did my schooling in Sirsi up to 10th, and for my 11th and 12th I moved to Bangalore. I was educated in St. Joseph's PUC College in Bangalore, and then I completed my engineering. I was very passionate and still am passionate about electronics. And during my engineering days I also got another fellowship of an intercultural international foundation. I represented my country in various seminars and symposia in Germany and US.
Oh.
So that really broadened my horizon. So I could, self-reflect, absorb a lot of exposure of various cultures, various countries, various friends from various nationalities and all that. That firmed up my belief that this is what I want to do in my life.
Okay.
So, if I had wished, I would have gone to private sector.
Yeah.
But then I always knew that I would not be satisfied there. So, that way you could say this is also a selfish decision because I want to be happy. So, this is the choice that I have made. This museum is a labor of love.
Okay.
We had an officer, Mr. P.K. Mishra, who was the additional GM here. Now he is the general manager of Modern Coach Factory in Raebareli. So he is a scholar of railway heritage and history. He took interest, motivated a lot of people across all the departments in our railway zone, collected the artifacts and got this museum set up.
Wow.
So you will see the year of construction is 1907. And there are two cottages, we have named them after the rivers of this region, Ghataprabha and Malaprabha. Okay. There is one more cottage on the other side of this coach. I think we head inside. This is a poem authored by me for this museum.
Oh, wow. The memories on railroad.
So we have tried to show here what the railway looked like, say 20-30 years prior to today. What was the technology used and all that.
Achha.
And we hope that this will interest tourists as well as the people of this region to learn how railway development shaped the history and development of this place.
So now tourists are allowed?
Yeah, tourists are allowed. Tourists are allowed. In 1882, railways came to Dharwad.
Okay.
The British established their headquarters here called Southern Maratha Railway.
Okay.
And that time Goa was ruled by Portuguese. And there is a station called Castle Rock. Up to that was the interchange point. So that's how old this railway establishment is. So here we'll see a lot of instruments.
What is this, sir?
This is a block instrument. So in railways we have something called the block working system. And you cannot just run one train behind another.
Okay.
The entire railway line is divided into different blocks. One train can be present in one block. That's a system to maintain the safety. So this instrument governs the mechanism by which you can communicate to the other station master. Two station masters can communicate to each other.
Okay.
And then ensure that there is no train in that particular block and then give the signal green for the train to enter.
Is it still there or the things have been
In
changed?
some sections, this is still there. This is a tokenless block instrument. Prior to this, we used to have that. That's a block instrument with a token. When you operate this machine, suppose you want to send a train, then a token would come out of this, like this. And this token would be put in that pouch. आपने बचपन में देखा होगा कि
वो दे देते थे
ऐसा हाथ करके वो खड़ा रहता था and the loco pilot would take this coach. So that token becomes the authority for him to take his train into that particular block section.
अभी ये बंद हो गया
अभी ये बंद हो गया. Most of the sections में ये बंद हो गया, 99% sections में. Now we have this and we have an advanced version of it called UFSBI, Ultra Fail Safe Block Instrument.
Okay.
And even the signaling system has evolved. Now we don't have the semaphore arm जो ऊपर नीचे या नीचे ऊपर जाता था. अभी automatic signals आ गए हैं. But this still is a very valuable, reliable instrument that governs the safety of the train in which you are traveling.
Wow.
It's a very simple mechanism, but it ensures that there is only one particular train in that position in that railway line. It avoids collision. Yeah. It ensures safety. Some of the mechanical instruments. This is a jack,
Okay.
floodlights, and
What is the use of this thing, sir?
I think this is just a weighing scale.
It's just a normal.
Just a normal weighing scale.
Okay.
It has acquired heritage value because it's become quite old. And let's see. ಇದು ಕಾರ್ ಟಿಕೆಟ್ ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಮಷಿನ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? I'm not sure if you have seen it. This is a punching machine to mark your attendance.
Okay.
So when an employee enters, he punches it.
Date or time will be entered in duty and out duty.
Out duty.
Is it still not there? The finger.
Now I think biometric has come. So this is like.
Can I do it once? What I need to do? Have to put it just like this.
Date will not.
अच्छा.
आज का डेट में टाइम आता है ना?
Time
तो एग्जिट के टाइम पे भी होता था दोबारा.
in out.
दोनों.
Afternoon in out.
अच्छा अच्छा. सही है. Oh, that's a nice one.
नेक्स्ट क्या होगा? बोलिए PCT प्रिंटिंग मशीन वर्क करता है क्या?
Here and there. Just cut the shot.
Before Indian Railways became Indian Railways, there used to be many small railways owned by various princely states, and some were created by the British government by raising bonds from European and wealthy Indians, and they said we'll give you a guaranteed rate of return of 4% or 5% for the investment that you make, just like modern shares or equity kind of a system. So these are some of the railway logos of old railway zones. We can say that this was the father or mother of Southwestern Railway. So the headquarters, which was in Dharwad, that was later shifted to Madras, that is Chennai. And the building which housed our railway headquarters is today known as Karnataka College, Dharwad.
Okay.
many eminent people of Dharwad said that they want a university here, they want a college here for higher education. And then the then British governor of the Bombay state said, you raise funds for it. And once they were successful in raising the funds for having their own college, this was sold to them and the headquarters of the railway zone was shifted to then Madras, now Chennai. It's open to the public.
Okay. Films, like which films it comes?
No, we don't show movies as in Bollywood movies because of course obviously there are copyright issues and all that. We have made this as a forum to show some of the railway related promotional movies.
Okay.
And whatever we produce.
रेलवे के मामले में ऐसी संगीतमय रचनाएं रोज रची जाती हैं, देश के शहरों, कस्बों और ग्रामों को जोड़ती हुई। प्रतिदिन ये संगीत रचना एक संपूर्ण सामंजस्य को प्रमाणित करती है, वो भी सही साज और सुर छेड़कर। ये संगीत रचना है तालमेल और संयोजन की, जिसमें हर हरकत बिल्कुल सही हो, सटीक हो।
स्टेशन मास्टर रेलगाड़ियों के संचालन से कहीं अधिक है।
तंत्र प्रबंधन, मानस प्रबंधन, समय प्रबंधन और साथ ही सुरक्षा प्रबंधन का भी। विशेषकर छुट्टियों के मौसम में जब स्टेशन यात्रियों की भीड़ से खचाखच भर जाता है।
दो ब्लॉक इंस्ट्रूमेंट है और यहाँ पे कंट्रोल फोन, BSNL टेलीफोन, मैग्नेटोफोन, ये सब चीज़ें हैं।
How the station master office looks?
लुक्स लाइक आता था, एक लेदर बैग होता है, कैश बैग, उसको इसके अंदर डालते थे। इसके अंदर डाला जा सकता है, यहाँ से निकाला नहीं जा सकता है। It was just a simple mechanism. You put the cash bag here. Cash bag. It goes and you cannot take it out from here. There has to be a sealed lock here, and only when it comes to the nominated station,
Then only
the nominated person can open the seal and take it out. और ये बुकिंग क्लर्क के पास रहता था।
ये तो सर देखा है।
ये देखा है, ये भी देखा है।
That wooden type tickets used to come.
Yes.
In Calcutta, I have seen this.
Yes, printed card tickets. आपके पीछे कुछ फोटोज लगे हैं उसी के।
हाँ, ऐसे ही होता था, but that was very small. So after that shoot, now again we are starting and the time is exactly 7:30 near about.
Right.
Reality of a government job. People think सरकारी ऑफिसर 5 बजे के बाद ही चले जाते होंगे.
नहीं, ऐसा नहीं होता है, see, because we have a commitment towards the public. So most of the times, despite the limitations in the resources that we might have, we have to ensure that we deliver what we have to within the time frame. So for instance, today we are sitting even at 7:30 in the evening in the office because we are planning to run some special trains from Bangalore to Kerala to Kochuveli for the Onam festival, which is in the next week. And now we have received demand for additional number of trains.
Okay.
And we are anticipating some approvals to come from the Ministry of Railways, Delhi. So once that comes, we have to notify it to the press so that the public comes to know, the passengers who are interested to travel, they come to know, they don't miss out on this information. So we have to keep up this commitment. And I have my team as well in the next room who are as dedicated as anyone else. They are sitting to assist me so that we can do it in time.
Can you just go deep inside to it, like just as we were discussing few times back, that you came to know there should be 2, 3, whatever the number is, you should need to provide 2, 3 special trains. Let's for the example. How the things happen? You get it from the ministry, then what's your role? Then how the things get divided and how the things happen?
So it's like this, we get demand from public or public representatives, and then we have a department called operations department. So that is in charge of all the operations of the coaching as well as the freight trains. By coaching trains I mean the passenger as well as the mail express trains, including the special trains which are run on occasions of festivals or holidays to cater to the additional rush. They assess the operational feasibility, whether it is feasible to run an additional train in this particular route, whether we have what is known as the path. By path I mean whether we can run train from point A to point B in this frame of time on this particular day, whether I have that time slot available. And then we also seek commercial feasibility, whether it's feasible. I mean, see, a single train of about 22 to 23 coaches can accommodate about 1,000 or more passengers. So I should not be running this train empty. So the commercial department has data on sales of tickets at en route stations. It furnishes viability or feasibility from the financial point of view. And on top of it, I should be having the resources. I should be having those set of coaches to make a train and run it as a special. So all these feasibility is assessed at either the zonal level or among 2 zones. If there are 2 zones involved, for example in this particular case, between the Southwestern Railway and Southern Railway. And then this feasibility report is sent to the Ministry of Railways. So in Ministry there is a specific office, the Coaching Directorate. So they have their own set of parameters to assess, and then they give the approval. Once the approval is given, then our job is to run the particular train. And before the train is run, this new train is fired up in the PRS system, that is the passenger reservation system, which enables a common passenger to book his or her tickets through IRCTC website. And then my job is to notify to the media as well as to the public in time.
So as you said, like I was going to point out that only, because as we know that you are currently the CPRO of this department. So in this whole process, your job is only to notify to the IRCTC and do the ticketing, or you are also...
No, I don't notify to the IRCTC, that is done by the commercial department. They have an interface which is a well established streamlined channel. My job is to notify to the public through the media, be it through electronic or print or social media.
Do you need to get involved into things also going in the back in this whole process?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. There are specialized departments in railways which do that.
So, like while spending throughout the day, whatever I understood, like you're very calm, composed, like I feel like the studious kid of the school. Is it true?
It's true. It's been so. I have been the first bencher most of the times in school as well as in college. But that being said, I was also quite active in extracurricular activities. I was active in debating and elocution. I was the gold medalist in the South Zone elocution competition during my college days when I represented my university from amongst more than 100 universities which came to participate. So, yeah, I have not been that good in sports, but this is what I like. I like to read, write, and occasionally I do write poems as well in English. Yeah.
So, like, what will you say, like, what's your idea or what you have seen, like, in this bureaucracy or civil service, who cope up easily? The first boy or sometimes the last benches?
I think both of them do. That's the beauty of it. See, the quality that matters here is resilience and perseverance. You will have situations wherein you come under tremendous amounts of stress. But you have to be grounded, your fundamentals have to be strong. You should be able to anticipate what can go wrong. If you have heard of Murphy's Law, then you should have a contingency plan in mind, be it be it a function, be it a VIP visit, or be it an accident. And you should be able to think on your feet. I think this exam that we come through, it puts us through all of this. See, we have to write about 9 papers over a period of 5 to 6 days. That is 27 hours of continuous writing, and in each 3-hour period we have to write meaningful answers which covers close to, let's say, 2,500 to 3,000 words in those 3 hours. So you cannot be all this is what I know, this is what I know. You have to learn to adapt. So this is a position of leadership. Every small decision that you take makes an impact somewhere, and many times you will not have the opportunity to come back and reverse it. So both first benchers as well as back benchers have their own set of valuable traits, I would say. But at the end of it, what matters is mindfulness, presence of mind, being alert, having an intellectual curiosity, resilience and perseverance.
Can you share any of your example when this particular awards, if we go about resilience, perseverance, intellectual ability, that worked all upon?
See, we had a situation about 2 years back where there was a massive landslide in one of our sections.
Okay.
See, when we visited the museum, you saw a model of Dudhsagar Falls. That was the place where Chennai Express film, one of the sequence was shot. That's a very picturesque landscape. It's also one of the most precarious areas where a railway line has been laid. So we had this massive landslide. And
sorry to interrupt, sir. Dudhsagar Falls is that one, the bridge in between the mountains and that waterfall?
Yes. It's located on a section of ghat called Braganza Ghat between Goa and Karnataka border. This portion is accessible only by rail and not by road. 3 of the stations there are accessible only by rail. It's on the edge of a cliff, if you have seen that portion. So we had this massive landslide, and fortunately, by the grace of God, I must say, a train was passing, but nobody got hurt. The train was just, one of the coaches had just suffered a minor derailment. It was set right, and then the section was clear. Within a day or two, but again we had a bout of landslide due to heavy monsoon. So this got a lot of attention in national media, and I was tasked with ensuring that there are no fake narratives or negative news being spread by any of the malicious social media handles or online portals. So it was my job to monitor to be informed of the restoration efforts. It was challenging because you don't get mobile network at that spot. So I was continuously in touch with our officers and engineers at the site. Whenever they used to come to stations up the ghat to take rest, I used to speak to them, be in touch with our disaster management cell, and I made it a point to issue 2 hourly bulletins that this is the progress that we are doing. This is the steps that we have taken for the restoration efforts. And in case you have any questions or queries, then this is the helpline that we have opened. These are the trains that are cancelled. So I made it a point to proactively give information to the press as well as post it on social media, even in regional language. And I proliferated this information in all the WhatsApp groups that I was part of, formal as well as informal. See, my agenda was you are well aware in social media, unless you take preemptive steps, some fake news or something which is incorrect can get viral in very less amount of time.
True.
So I ensured that I tagged all those people who were actively pursuing this information. And this had happened for 2-3 days, and I noticed that electronic media was also asking for some kind of an input. So I recorded my bites. I'm speaking before a mobile camera, and ensured that this visual bite is accessible to all the journalists. So this helped, I think, looking at in a retrospective way, in preempting and preventing any fake narratives that could come. And one more small example, if I could share to you. During COVID, we had Railways took this initiative to run oxygen special trains, oxygen expresses, from various parts of the country to Karnataka as well as to other states. I tied up with our frontline staff, like track maintainers, trolleymen, pointsmen, station masters, made it a point to get the timetable of these trains, tied up with my batchmates at other places where these trains were, oxygen tankers were being loaded. I got the visuals of these trains at key points and shared them on social media as well as to our journalists. So that I think helped imbibe a sense of confidence among the medical workers, among the common public, as well as our patrons, customers, passengers, that Railways is playing a very important, crucial role at this critical time. So those small visuals of oxygen expresses running across a particular station and coming to Bangalore, I ensure that be it at 2 a.m. in the morning or 4 a.m. in the morning on real-time basis, we feed this information. I did this personally, I monitored it personally, I posted this personally on our verified social media handles so that proper information reaches the public.
So I want to share one of my example and I want to connect the questions into that. एक fear factor की बात करते हैं. It's been how many years now?
Me in service, I joined Railways in 2015, government service prior to that in 2013. So close to a decade.
Close to a decade.
Yeah.
So in a decade, like if I take example, so in last from 7 days I've been continuously shooting in Karnataka, then I will be moving to Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh and like this. So in back of the mind, I also need to plan, you know, connecting all the offices, I need to move the team and all the other stuffs. काफी मैंने कवर किया है, 2-3 साल भी हो गए, बट आज भी एक हल्का फियर फैक्टर काम करता है. फियर फैक्टर ये नहीं कि मैं किसी से मिलूंगा तो वो मिलने का डर नहीं होता है, बट एक सर वो टारगेट होता है ना मनी मन कि इतने दिन में इतना कवर करना है एंड ब्यूटीफुली उसको पोर्ट्रे ही करना है. वो आदमी सिर्फ और सिर्फ उसी से ही जूझता है. Neither I can express this to my parents or my friends. इसको समझ नहीं आएगा मैं क्या जूझ रहा हूँ. ऐसा होता है.
होता है. See, when we had this functions where the Prime Minister was the chief guest, so I think you can relate to the feeling what I might have gone through during those last 3-4 days. So we want everything to be perfect. Of course, the highest officials in the state government are coordinating with numerous departments. जब भी ये Prime Minister का visit हुआ है previously, it is not just railways. There has been Ministry of Jal Shakti, NHAI, other ministries. सबका project इकट्ठा करके वो launch करते हैं. तो we collaborate with various private agencies to get creative content produced. तो double check, triple check, keep everything in perfect order.
Deadlines.
And meet the deadlines. So we have literally burned the midnight oil. Me and my team have sat till 4 a.m. in the morning in this office so that everything for the show, for the top political boss of the country is ready in time without any deficiency from our side. And the euphoria when you see that whatever you have worked for is being showcased on the big screen in front of, let's say, 50 to 75,000 people attending physically and thousands attending virtually, that is indescribable.
And शायद सर उस वक्त पे जैसे if I talk about today, I was feeling a bit lazy क्योंकि last 3-4 दिन से I was continuously shooting. तो मेरे को वो laziness हो रहा था and I was feeling कि मैं कैसे करूँ cope up because you know I don't work on the script, so it's like totally candid. As the camera rolled on, I don't know, I'm like this. So ऐसा भी होता है उस टाइम पे?
होता है, बहुत सारे टाइम पे होता है. So there are times when we do feel low physically and mentally, we are tired. But then, just like you said, you know, to get to achieve that in a short frame of time. See, I think success is not chasing the mirage, but success is delivering the best that you can despite the constraints of time and resources that you may have. So meeting that definition, that is what drives me, I think.
क्या बात. There's something I'm going to learn today.
See, it's easy to complain.
Yes.
I don't want to complain. I want to be able to give the best that I can, and I always go by this. I don't know if you have read this. Gandhiji used to say that if you are a sweeper, you aim to become the best sweeper in the world. So right now, as an officer, I want to be the best officer that I can be. I'm not comparing with anyone else, but I want to go to bed today or any other day saying that I have done the best that I can. There is nothing extra that I could have done. तो मेरे पास कोई रिग्रेट ये नहीं है कि पिछले साल मैंने जो किया उससे बेहतर मैं कर पाया और कर सकता था, ये नहीं है. आई एम गिवन माय बेस्ट. सो आई हैव दिस कन्विक्शन विद इन मी दैट आई हैव गिवन माय बेस्ट सो फार.
So what's your next 5 years goal?
I think I take each day as it comes. The previous 5 years have been very exciting. I have been blessed. I'm an ordinary person who have been blessed extraordinarily. See, I have got more than what I had aspired for. So I look forward to each day. I mean, it sounds very cliched, but I look forward to each day as a learning. Every day is new. Every day is fresh.
True.
And I'm grateful for what I have got. See, recently, about a month back, I was invited to Vadodara. We have our National Academy of Indian Railways. So they invited me for a session to address all the other PR managers from throughout the country, from various zones, about my experience in handling public functions for railways. So these are some serendipitous moments. I have been abundantly blessed. So look forward to more learning, more. Let's say let it come when it comes.
I won't take much of your time. I want to end it in last 2 questions.
Okay.
So the second last question is like, from the outside world, like you are a leader or a boss of a particular sector, if we say,
Okay.
currently.
Right.
How is the reality to manage the people in the hierarchy? Because now I'm not that senior like you, but अब मुझे समझ आता है हर आदमी को समय ले लेके उसको समझाना पड़ता है, फिर उसको रेडी करना पड़ता है और एक पर्टिकुलर प्रोजेक्ट को आपको करना पड़ता है. आपके दिमाग में सिर्फ यही चलता है कि वो जो मेरा काम है उसको करना है. बाहर से ये लगता है यार इनकी तो जिंदगी सॉर्टेड है, इनको क्या ही टेंशन है. व्हाट इज द रियलिटी ऑफ बीइंग अ सीनियर ऑफिसर?
See, there are 2 things. One is I am accountable to my bosses. So I should know what their priorities are. And priorities may not be fixed, they change. And this is a reality, be it government or private. Second, in government we have to go by rules.
Okay.
It's not like private की boss ने बोल दिया तो आप ये खरीद के लाओ ये. No. If I have to buy a TV for my office, there's a procedure. So I have to follow the procedure. And at the same time, what I have experimented here is to keep my team sufficiently motivated. So I empathize with their concerns. I do take some steps when they are in need to go beyond the call of my duty, not just as a boss, but maybe as a companion or a friend. If they need some help when they are sick or when they are down, I do it. And my funda has been that if anyone in my team is not able to do, then I do it for them. So I'm a hands-on person. I do it for them. I raise the bar, but I also do give them support from below. And I try that I get angry very rarely.
Okay.
Because I have felt that when you scold somebody or when you are harsh with somebody, then it demotivates them. Everybody has a skill or a talent, and if they don't have a talent that is suited for my particular project, then I do it to the best of my ability. I mean, I try to train them in that, formally or informally. और एक सीनियर ऑफिसर के साथ जब मेरी ये बात हो रही थी तो he never got angry. Occasionally I get angry. He never got angry. So I asked him, sir, how is it that you managed to speak so calmly despite all the pressure to everybody? Then he said, Anish, see, what I have always felt is I may never be able to see that person again tomorrow. We never know what happens tomorrow. So I don't want to have that regret in my mind that the last thing that I spoke to him was a quarrel or a scolding or something. So that has made a very deep impact on me personally. So I try to do it. And I don't know how well qualified or how good I am in it. I mean, but sometimes I try to anticipate and resolve differences or conflicts before it flares up. तो ये मैंने किया है और मेरा टीम अभी जो है इट इज नॉट अ वेरी बिग टीम इट्स अ टीम ऑफ डेडिकेटेड स्मॉल टीम ऑफ डेडिकेटेड पीपल बट काफी स्पेशलाइज्ड वर्क उनको करना पड़ता है द अप्रोच में चेंज इन द फील्ड the approach may change in the field where things are different.
Whatever I feel, let's end with the last question that moreover you are a very good officer. I'm no one to judge on that part, but I feel that you are rather than a creative personality, which somewhere I feel personally that there's a creative personality hidden inside it. So on that note, I want to take a feedback for myself. How was your experience doing this? Because you have been working as a CPRO, in the PR department, a lot of other, influencers, and you have seen how the social media game works on. You also have your own creative mindset. So what was your experience? If you had any feedback, you can freely say to that.
I really am not sure if I am qualified enough to do it.
Obviously, sir.
See, because I have worked in a limited setup, in a limited environment. I think you are doing a fairly good job of, having impromptu conversations that have an element of reality. It doesn't look tutored. I think only one thing which I could suggest is if you could keep unique titles for each interaction that you do.
Okay.
Unique titles and maybe some unique supers that and give a teaser or two about what's going to engage your audience on each Sunday. So that will keep them hooked, pique their curiosity to some extent. I must say I feel I'm very privileged to have been part of your podcast. I had heard about you, but this is the first time I'm meeting you. Thank you so much for having come down to Hubli. Do plan another trip where you can explore some of the good destinations in and around.
But sir, like just a curious mindset once more. What felt you ki, I can do the podcast with him? Is there anything you felt like, this is something different, or what is there anything you felt?
See, first thing I noticed about you is that you have chosen a niche. And there's a lot of misconceptions or stereotypes about officers or bureaucrats, which might have been changing in the recent years, thanks to many of them writing about their experiences in the form of a blog or speaking about themselves in various fora. So, quite frankly, I felt quite interested. And second thing, what I noticed is not many railway officers have been featured in your podcast. So I felt that I had something to offer, but you are the judge of how valuable it has been. I do not know. So that convinced me to speak up to you.
Thank you so much
in the
sir.
podcast. Yeah,
It was really a pleasure to meet you, and
I think it was mutual. Thanks for coming down to Hubli despite my busy schedule. Thanks for being flexible enough to adjust to my schedule on a busy day.
No, it's always a pleasure, and these are some of the learnings that I take from my podcast personally, which I may not get in the books or novels. These are personal experience which I am basically grabbing from personalities like you. So nice to meet you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.